They say a mother is your first friend, your first teacher, your first protector. But what happens when the same woman you call mother wounds you so deeply that the pain follows you into every sleepless night? This is not just a story. This is my truth. A truth I've buried in my heart for years. A truth I never planned to speak aloud, but today I must, because silence is no longer peace. Let me take you back to May 2020. A month I was supposed to remember for joy. I was 9 months pregnant, big, round, tired, and excited. My husband and I were preparing to welcome our first child, a baby boy, our miracle. We had prayed, planned, and worked so hard for everything to go smoothly. We bought everything we needed. We even arranged who would help us after delivery. The person at the top of that list, my mother. Yes, my own mother, the woman who raised me, the woman I respected and loved. It was simple. She would fly in from Nigeria to join me in the US a few weeks before my delivery. She would help bathe the baby, cook for me, massage my body, and guide me with her experience. The traditional omugwo, you know. It was what every new mother needed, especially in a foreign land, where everything feels too fast, too cold, and too lonely. So one night I called her. "Mummy," I said, smiling as I rested my back on the couch, my swollen feet on a pillow. "It's almost time. You should start getting ready. Your visa is still valid, right?" There was silence for a few seconds. Then she spoke, her voice sharp, distant. "My dear, I can't come now." I froze. "What?" "But you said, I have something very important I'm doing here." She cut in. "Let me know when you've given birth. That's when I'll come." My heart sank. I looked at my husband. He could see the confusion on my face. "Mummy, it will be too late by then," I pleaded. "What if something happens during delivery? What if I need you?" But she didn't budge. She didn't even sound sorry. "I'm not idle, oh. I have things I'm handling. Just call me after delivery." Then she hung up. That night, I cried quietly in my husband's arms. "Don't worry," he whispered. "We'll be fine. Maybe she really is busy." I wanted to believe that. I needed to believe that. Fast forward to a few weeks later, I had a successful cesarean section. Yes, CS, I was in pain, weak, but grateful. My baby was beautiful and healthy. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and cold air. Machines beeped softly around me. Nurses came in and out. And then I heard someone say, "Your mum is here." I turned my head slowly. And there she was, Mama, walking into the hospital room with her traveling bag, looking around like a guest at a hotel. "Thank God you made it," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She smiled faintly and sat down beside my bed. No hug, no kiss, just presence, but still, I was relieved. She's here now. Everything will be okay, I told myself. But that night, something happened that changed everything. It was late, maybe 1 a.m. The ward was quiet. Other mothers were asleep, their babies too, except mine. My little boy was crying non-stop. His voice pierced through the silence like a siren. I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my waist and belly like fire. I was too weak. The stitches from the CS were still fresh. I turned my head to call Mama. I needed her help. "Mama," I whispered, "please carry him. Try to feed him. Maybe rock him back to sleep." But what I saw shocked me. She had left her chair and occupied an empty hospital bed beside mine. Her mouth was wide open. She was snoring, loudly, deeply. I couldn't believe it. Still in pain, I struggled to sit up and threw a small bottle cap at the edge of her bed to wake her. She jumped up, looked around, and hissed. "What is it?" "The baby," I whispered. "Please help me. I can't carry him. I'm still in pain." Her reply? "Leave me, I beg. I'm tired. I didn't sleep all night before I traveled. Find someone else to carry him." Just like that. She turned her back to me and went back to sleep. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I stared at my crying baby. My body ached. My chest was tight. I felt like I was drowning in helplessness. Just then a nurse walked in. She took one look at me and the crying baby, then asked, "Where is the helper you said was coming?" I pointed at Mama. The nurse's eyes widened. "That's your mother?" I nodded slowly. Without saying a word, the nurse carried my baby, fed him with formula, and rocked him gently until he slept. Then she turned to me and said something I will never forget. "Next time, madam, don't expect help from someone who doesn't want to help. Just focus on your child." The next morning, the hospital management asked my mum to leave. She wasn't registered to stay there, and she wasn't helping. They said she was taking up a patient's space. She didn't argue. She packed her things and left. No apology, no emotion. I lay on my hospital bed and stared at the ceiling, feeling cold all over again. "Why, Mama? Why did you treat me like this? Was I not your daughter? Was this not the same child you prayed for with me? What did I do to deserve such abandonment at the most vulnerable time of my life? They wheeled me out of the hospital on a bright Friday afternoon. I should have been happy. I should have felt peace, but instead, I felt tension. My husband came to pick me up alone. No sign of my mother. No warm smile. No helping hands. Just him. As we pulled out of the hospital parking lot, my heart was too heavy to keep quiet. "Where is Mama?" I asked gently, holding our baby in my arms. My husband didn't answer immediately. He gripped the steering wheel tighter and kept his eyes on the road. Then, after a pause, he replied with a frown. "At home." At home? That sounded odd. She wasn't there to help me into the car. She didn't come with him to see her daughter and new grandson. Something wasn't adding up, but I kept quiet. We drove home in silence. When we entered the house, everything was quiet. Too quiet. No sound of TV, no smell of cooking. No one in sight. I looked around. "Mama?" I called out. "Mama!" Nothing. I turned to my husband. "I thought you said she's at home." He blinked, confused. "She was here when I left for the hospital. I told her what time I was leaving." She even nodded. Now my heart started racing. Maybe she went to the backyard. We searched the house, the backyard, the front porch, the compound, nothing. I held my baby tighter, fear creeping in. "She doesn't know this city," I whispered. "She's only been here for 2 days. Where would she go?" My husband pulled out his phone and began to call her. Switched off. We tried again, and again, still switched off. Panic settled in. Had something happened to her? We started thinking the worst. Maybe she was kidnapped. Maybe she wandered off and got lost, or had an accident. It had been over 6 hours, and no sign of her. My stitches were pulling. My head was hot. I was trying to stay calm for the sake of the baby, but inside I was falling apart. We were minutes away from calling the PAM police to report a missing person case when the door creaked open, and there she was. Walking in like nothing happened, like she went to buy bread and just took her time. My husband and I stood frozen, staring at her. She didn't look injured. No scratch, no bruise. She even had a small nylon bag in her hand. "Mama, where have you been?" I shouted. She dropped the nylon on the dining table, removed her shoes, and looked at us casually. "I went to look for work." I blinked. "Work?" "Yes, a job. Something I can be doing while I'm here. I need money." My jaw dropped. "But you came to help me. To help with the baby." That was the plan. She waved her hand like I was speaking nonsense. "I didn't come all the way from Nigeria to fold my hands and babysit for free. I have bills back home. I have goals. If I stay here for a few months, I must go back with something tangible." My husband and I just stared at each other. We thought she was joking. We even laughed nervously, hoping she would join in. But Mama didn't laugh. She meant every word. That night we didn't argue. She bathed the baby as if nothing happened. I watched her closely, wondering what was going on in her head. After dinner, we all went to bed. My son thankfully didn't disturb much. For the first time since the CS, I slept for more than 2 hours straight. But peace was short-lived, because the next morning, she was gone again. I woke up to see my husband carrying our son in the living room. "Where's Mama?" I asked. He sighed and pointed to a small note on the center table. I picked it up. It read, "I've gone to work. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. I'm safe. I'm working for someone who values my time. Tell my grandson I'll bring him something nice." My hands began to shake. I grabbed my phone and dialed her number. This time she picked. "Mama, where are you?" I shouted. There was silence. Then her calm voice came through the line. "What right do you have to question me about my whereabouts?" I was stunned. "What?" "Like I said in the note, I'm working. I found a Nigerian woman who just gave birth. She's paying me well to help her with her baby. So I'm here. You left your own daughter who just had a CS to go and work for a stranger." She scoffed. "That woman appreciates me. She knows what I'm worth. I told you. I came to this country to make money, not to babysit for free." I felt hot tears stream down my face. "So that's it? After all I've done for you? After all the sacrifices I made to bring you here?" "You didn't bring me here for free," she snapped. "You wanted a helper, not a mother. And I refused to be used." Then she hung up. I was dumbfounded, shocked, weakened in my bones. I couldn't move for a while after that call ended. My mouth was dry. My heart was pounding. And in that moment, all I could think was, is this truly my mother? Or a stranger wearing her face? That was the moment I knew. Mama was no longer the woman I thought I knew. The woman who once carried me on her back when I was sick as a child, the woman who cried on my wedding day praying for my happiness, was now acting like a cold stranger. My husband saw the look on my face and came close to hold me. Don't think too much, he whispered, rubbing my shoulder. You have a son now. You need your strength. I nodded slowly, but deep down I was crumbling. The woman I trusted to care for me was now the one I feared the most. That day, I managed to bathe my son, though every movement hurt like fire. My stitches pulled, my back ached. But I had no choice. My husband did the cooking, cleaned the living room, and even did laundry. We became our own support system, as if my mother didn't exist. But that night, she returned again. The door opened just before 10 p.m., and there she was, standing at the entrance, reeking of alcohol. Her eyes were red. Her clothes smelled of wine and fried meat. "Mama, where are you coming from?" I asked softly. She dropped her bag on the floor and kicked off her shoes. The family I'm working with had a celebration. They gave me wine. I drank it to support them. She staggered as she walked to the kitchen, humming a song I'd never heard before. I looked at my husband and he looked away. I could feel his shame and mine, but he didn't say a word. I wanted to disappear. How would he see me now? How would he see my family? Is this the mother of his wife? Is this the woman I cried to bring over for my omugwo? As if things weren't already bad. Mama served herself a very large portion of the food. We cooked, food she didn't help prepare, didn't even ask about. She ate and ate like someone who hadn't seen food in days. Until suddenly, she began to vomit. First on the floor, then in the sink, then on the rug. Before I could reach her, she had started defecating on herself. The smell filled the air like poison. She messed up the floor, the hallway, even the guest toilet. My baby began to cry from the room, disturbed by the noise and stench. And my husband, that man I married with all my heart, cleaned it all. Without a word, I wanted to scream. I wanted to vanish. The next morning, she behaved like nothing happened. She even told us she was feeling better and left again for her client's house. At that point, I stopped expecting anything from her. I just wanted peace. I just wanted healing. But the pain wasn't over yet. She didn't return home that night, or the next. She would show up only when she wanted to eat, shower, or sleep for a few hours, then disappear again. She turned my house into a guest house, and I didn't recognize her anymore. Every time I looked at my baby, I felt both joy and grief. Joy for the gift of life, grief for the mother I lost. Even though she was still alive, I stopped calling her. I stopped waiting up for her. I learned to bathe my baby in pain, to breastfeed while crying, to rock him to sleep even with burning stitches. My husband tried his best, but he had to return to work eventually. And me, I was left with a baby and a broken heart. One day, about 2 weeks after my discharge, Mama returned home in the evening with shopping bags. "I bought clothes," she said, placing them on the table. I didn't answer. "They're not for you if that's what you're thinking," she added sharply. "They're for my customer's baby. She gave me extra money today." I turned away. She walked into the kitchen, humming, like we were roommates, not mother and daughter. That night, I broke down. "God," I whispered in the dark. "Why? Why would my own mother hurt me like this? What did I do wrong?" No answer came, just silence. But deep inside, I promised myself one thing. If I ever find the strength to forgive her, it would be for my own healing. Not because she asked, because even now she has never apologized. Not once. A few weeks later, it was time to celebrate our son's birth. We planned a small gathering, just close friends, family, and church members. Nothing too big, just a little joy in the midst of everything. My husband, being the generous man he is, bought new clothes and shoes for all of us. Myself, our baby, and Mama. We wanted to look decent for the occasion. When I showed Mama her clothes, thinking she would be grateful, her reaction shocked me. She held the dress up, looked at mine, and frowned. "So you bought yourself this one," she said, eyeing my gown. "And gave me this cheap-looking one?" "Mama, it's the same design," I started. "But yours is finer. Yours looks more expensive. Why didn't you buy us the same thing?" I was speechless. The dress she held was elegant, comfortable, new. But because mine had a bit more lace on the sleeve, she said she wouldn't wear hers. "I won't attend the party looking like a housemaid," she said loudly. I looked at my husband, expecting him to flare up. But again, he chose peace. He drove Mama to a boutique and asked her to pick what she wanted. That alone melted my heart. But trust Mama, she picked the most expensive gown and shoe in the entire shop, almost double the cost of mine. Still, my husband didn't complain. He just paid and drove her back home. "I want everyone to be happy," he told me. "Even if she doesn't see it, I'm doing this for you." And that was the moment I began to question everything. Was she really my mother? Was I adopted? Had something possessed her? Because this version of her was unrecognizable. Mama continued going out for her postpartum job. The so-called client was still unknown to us. She never brought us to meet the family. She never gave us the address, nothing, until the unexpected call came. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was breastfeeding my baby while watching a movie, trying to distract myself from the mental fatigue. My phone rang. It was a strange number. "Hello," I answered. "Good afternoon, Ma. Is this Mrs. A?" "Yes, speaking. This is the police station. We have your mother in custody." I nearly dropped my phone. "Police station?" My husband rushed to my side. I couldn't breathe. "Mama, arrested." We dressed quickly and rushed to the station. My heart was racing. I kept praying it wasn't what I feared. But when we got there, reality slapped me hard in the face. Mama had been arrested for theft. The family she was working with accused her of stealing money and jewelry. Things began missing in the house, and they had set her up with hidden cameras. She was caught on video, going through the woman's drawers and taking things. I wanted to faint. I wanted to die. This was too much. We pleaded with the family. We explained that we didn't know anything. My husband offered to pay double the value of what was stolen. After some hesitation, the family agreed, and the police allowed us to take her home. But from that day, my husband put his foot down. "No more jobs," he told her firmly. "No more going out. You leave this house again, you're on the next flight back to Nigeria." Mama agreed, but I wish she hadn't, because from that day, she made our home a living hell. She started drinking even more, loud music from her phone day and night. She would play old high life songs and sing loudly off key, while my baby was trying to sleep. She started eating and vomiting again, spilling food, leaving dirty plates around the house, throwing her shoes everywhere. Our clean home became a war zone. The worst part? She didn't help with the baby anymore. She didn't ask how I was healing. She didn't show concern. I would sometimes pass her in the hallway, and she wouldn't even greet me. One night, I stood by the window with my son in my arms. He had just fallen asleep. Tears filled my eyes as I looked outside. How did I end up here? Why did I beg her to come? What sin did I commit to deserve this kind of pain? I wanted to scream, to shout, to just disappear, but I couldn't, because I had a child now. And no matter what, I had to protect him, even if it meant enduring my own mother's destruction. There comes a time in your life when pain becomes a quiet roommate. It stops knocking at the door. It just walks in, sits with you, eats with you, sleeps beside you. That's how I lived for weeks, with pain as my shadow. The pain of healing from childbirth. The pain of raising a baby with stitches and swollen feet. And worst of all, the pain of my own mother becoming the enemy in my own home. Every day felt like a punishment. Mama had now turned into a storm that didn't know when to stop. She drank alcohol openly, sometimes as early as 10 a.m. She played loud music, even when the baby was crying. She scattered the house, left dirty dishes, and made sarcastic remarks whenever I walked past her. And what hurt me the most? She no longer even looked at my son, the same boy I thought she came to help me care for. She now ignored completely. One day, after a particularly rough night of no sleep, I snapped. It was 5 a.m. The baby was crying nonstop. My head was pounding. My husband was getting ready for work. Mama was in the living room, sipping a can of beer and watching Nollywood movies with the volume turned up loud. I stood there, baby in my arms, and said, "Mama, please reduce the volume. I've been up all night with the baby." She didn't look at me. She simply said, "That's your child. Handle him." That sentence cut deep. I felt my legs shake. "So this is what I get for flying you across the world?" I asked her, tears already burning my eyes. "This is what I get for begging you to come, for trusting you with my pain." She turned slowly, looked at me from head to toe and scoffed. "You think you've done something big? You think because you bought me ticket and visa, I should become your slave? You wanted free help, and when I refused, now I'm wicked." At that moment, something in me broke. My voice shook as I replied, "No, Mama, I didn't want a slave. I wanted my mother. I wanted someone to help me the way you once said your mother helped you. I wanted someone who would hold me when I cried, not mock me. Who would carry my son with love, not jealousy. But instead, you made me feel like I was a burden, like I was wrong to expect love." She didn't answer. She just faced the TV again, increased the volume, and continued drinking. That was the moment I knew she had to leave. I didn't say it that day. I didn't want to act on emotion, but I spoke to my husband that night. I could see the relief in his eyes. He had been enduring it silently, for my sake. Fast forward to the day of the ceremony. The house was full of joy, laughter everywhere. Friends and family gathered in beautiful outfits to celebrate the arrival of our baby boy, Gabriel, the light of our lives. My husband was glowing with pride. I wore my new dress and smiled as I greeted guests. After everything we had been through, finally, a day of peace, a day of happiness. Or so I thought. We had music playing softly in the background, food steaming from the buffet table, and cheerful people taking pictures. My husband and I moved around making sure everyone was okay, taking photos, hugging well-wishers, and thanking God for the journey so far. And somewhere in my heart, I remember thinking, maybe Mama will behave today. Maybe, just maybe, she'll redeem herself today. She wore her expensive dress. Yes, the one she forced my husband to buy. She even applied makeup. At first, she seemed calm. She smiled at the guests, danced a little, and carried Gabriel like a proud grandmother. So I let my guard down. I thought, he's safe with her. What could possibly go wrong? I was wrong, so wrong. About 45 minutes into the celebration, I noticed Mama wasn't sitting where she was before. I looked around, scanning the faces, still smiling at guests as I looked. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw something that froze my soul. By the swimming pool, just a few meters away from the crowd, was Mama. She was holding Gabriel. At first, I thought maybe she just went for fresh air, but something didn't feel right. Her hands weren't steady. She looked off. I moved closer, slowly. Something in me felt cold. Something in me whispered, run. And then it happened. Right before my eyes, Mama lifted Gabriel high and threw him into the pool. My 1-month-old baby into the water. I screamed, Jesus Christ! My voice cut through the music. The guests turned in panic. Cups dropped. Chairs screeched. People began to scream. Some rushed towards the pool. I dropped to my knees, my legs too weak to move. My heart stopped. I could hear loud splashes and shouting. Someone dived in. Another called the baby's name. Others held me, trying to stop me from jumping in myself. But the sound that broke me the most, the sound that still rings in my ears, was Mama's laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Relax, daughter, she said, giggling like a mad woman. It's tradition in the family. You killed my own son, now it's my turn. The crowd went silent. Gasps filled the air. That was when it all made sense. That was when I realized Mama hadn't just come here to help. She hadn't come to drink or dance. She came to finish a mission she'd been carrying in her heart for years. A mission called revenge. My body started shaking. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel my legs. What did she just say? Someone whispered beside me. Did she say her daughter killed her son? Yes, that's what she said. Because for as long as I could remember, Mama had never forgiven me. The story was always the same. I was 2 years old. She was 7 months pregnant with my only brother. One morning I spilled water on the floor as a toddler. Innocent. Just playing. Not knowing anything. Mama walked past without slippers, slipped on the water, and fell hard on her stomach. She started bleeding. Went into premature labor. The baby was born. Too early. Too fragile. He struggled for days and died. And ever since that day, Mama looked at me with hate. Each year, on the anniversary of that baby's death, she would say, "You took my son from me." Even as a child, I didn't understand. How could I, a toddler, know anything? I never spilled water again in my life. I never forgot the look in her eyes, the resentment, and now she came for my own. Gabriel was rushed out of the water, his tiny body lifeless, blue, cold. Someone started CPR. Another dialed 911. My husband carried him with shaking hands. We drove like mad to the nearest hospital. I didn't blink once. I kept praying, whispering, begging, bargaining with God. Please, and let him live. Please, God, not my son. But Gabriel never made it there. He died. My sweet baby boy, my heartbeat, gone. Just like that. By the hands of the woman who gave birth to me. The nurses at the hospital held me down. I screamed until I passed out. And when I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Admitted. Mental breakdown. Shock. Postpartum trauma. Loss. All in one night. My husband never left my side. He bathed me, fed me, sat beside me every hour. He cried too, but he stayed strong for me. And Mama? She was taken into custody. But now, I'm left with a question that haunts me every single second. Should I press charges against her? Should I send my own mother to jail? People are divided. Some say, yes, let her face the law. She took an innocent life. Others say, she's not well. Forgive her. Don't carry hate. But what about me? What about my pain? What about the nights I wake up, hoping to hear Gabriel cry, only to remember he's gone? What about the baby clothes hanging in his room? The bottles I sterilized? The lullabies I sang to a baby who never got to grow? Mama claimed I took her son, and now she's taken mine. Was it truly my fault? Was I really responsible for her miscarriage all those years ago? Was this karma? I don't know. All I know is I am empty. I am confused. I am tired. So I came here to share my story, to ask for your advice, your prayers, your strength. Should I let her go or hand her over to the police fully? Will it bring me peace or more pain? I don't know anymore. All I know is that I am still here, in the hospital, fighting for my mind, fighting to understand why, fighting to find the strength to live again. Gabriel, my son, my angel, I'm so sorry. My wonderful viewers, if you enjoyed this story, please show some love, hit that like button, and tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Yes, you. Because every click, every comment, every subscription keeps this story fire burning. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video. Goodbye for now.